So the day of this upload, I am going to see Megadeth, All That Remains, and Mudvayne, and it got me thinking, what are some of the craziest things that have happened to me or that I've witnessed at a live metal show? Because as I started reminiscing on all the different shows I've been to, many of which I've talked about on this channel, I started thinking, I have definitely seen some fucked up shit or some really funny shit, and I wanted to share it with you guys. But I also want to know the experiences that you've had or that you've seen at a metal show that just has really taken you aback or has stuck itself in your memory, so when you reminisce about concerts in general, it will always come in the forefront of your mind. One of the funniest things, and one of the things I always mention when I talk about concerts, is the human boat that happened when I saw Amon Amarth. So they were a supporting act for Slayer, and I also saw Cannibal Corpse and Lamb of God. Yes, that lineup is as fucking sick as it sounds like, but basically Amon Amarth have a very large set. They're not necessarily the typical metal band that maybe has a really cool microphone or a really cool stage. Like Lamb of God had these cool stairs that kind of built up as a stage, which was really fucking cool. Well, Amon Amarth lived up to their Viking motif by having an entire Viking tapestry behind them, as well as a humongous boat. Johan was singing and drinking from this big, like, you know, flagon. I don't know if it actually had anything in it. I'm pretty sure it did, because I think he splashed it out onto the crowd, if I remember correctly. That's another thing, but they basically had a whole thing going on. And I can't say if this is something that has happened at other things, because I definitely have heard of the human boat, but you gotta understand, there was a moment in a Amon Amarth set, and I cannot remember for the life of me which song it was. I want to say maybe it was First Kill off of Yom's Fakeen. There was a movement that happened in the mosh pit, and I'm always someone that is either adjacent to or in the mosh pit. I'm a mosher, I like being around it, and so there was a lot of moshing going on, but the fun part was when there was that movement inside of it of people that just decided to get on the ground and to the rhythm of the song, to the beat of the song, start a human boat in a triangular position. I had never seen humans be able to be this fucking coordinated as strangers. You have never seen this level of coordination. Never underestimate a bunch of metalheads with absolutely zero direction otherwise, somehow coming together to make something that is so structurally sound that I was impressed. Julius Caesar would have been impressed. Shaka Zulu's African horns had absolutely nothing on what I saw in that mosh pit. People were incredibly spaced. They were just perfectly assembled, and you can damn well bet that I got in on it. Was I sitting in beer and piss and weed and whatever the fuck else was on that ground, probably cum, fresh cum, because someone was probably getting off to Johan Heg? That's their prerogative. I don't know. It stunk. It was damp. It was moist. There was a lot of music, and the mosh pit for Amon Amarth was pretty close to the stage, so it was incredibly funny. It lasted for, like, God, like a minute or two, and that is one of my standout memories that I will always remember. It was a ton of fun, and as soon as, like, everyone got up, they were just laughing and smiling. Like, it was so unserious, and the fact that, like, Amon Amarth is very serious but unserious at the same time made it 10 times more fun. It was just awesome. Another memory that came to me is when I saw Sanguisugabog. I saw them at a fairly small venue that I go to. It's like a local venue, 500-600 cap people at the absolute most, and Sanguisugabog was playing, and there was this old guy that was there, and when I say old, I would say probably in his 60s, I would say, maybe mid-60s. He was a pretty old guy. He had a very thick gray beard. Imagine what you would think of as like a Nordic Viking sage. He was really cool. I believe he had glasses on. He was just a shaved head dude with a big thick beard, looked really wise and shit, and he was owning that venue, and he knew it. He got up to stage dive, actually, which there was stage diving because they did not have any barrier up, so there were a ton of people stage diving, but generally speaking, it was a pretty, like, death metal, new school, like, OSDM revival show, so you didn't see many older people, but this dude, he was having a blast, and he got up on that stage, and the entire place erupted in just sounding applause. Everyone stopped what they were doing, the mosh pit stopped, and people were clamoring to be able to hold this guy up. It was like such a beautiful, wholesome moment as Sanguisugabog was playing, just literally the most brutal band ever, just sitting up there being like, and there's just this dude, this wise sage of the metal community. I love how metalheads a lot of times hold up older people in the community and older metalheads, because he had a battle vest on. You could tell he'd been going to shows for probably decades at this point. He had a ton of different genres, so he wasn't no gatekeeper or purist. He was just having a blast, and he stage dove, and That wasn't the only time. He got up twice, and when he got up the second time, it's like he knew it, and he let that fire get in him, because he literally put his hands on his hips, and then he, like, looked out and was pointing to, like, the mosh pit, or pointing to the area that he was wanting to dive in, and he, like, hyped the crowd up. It was incredible. Like, he was getting everyone's energy up, and he was just an awesome dude, and I've seen a lot of that happen before, of, like, older people crowd surfing or that sort of thing, but that definitely was a standout moment that I will always remember. I definitely have quite a few experiences that I had from Blue Ridge Rock Fest when I went to see it in 2021, and the biggest thing is Spirit Box had a lot of hype built around them. If I remember correctly, it was the first time that they toured in the US as of then. This was fairly early into Spirit Box really blowing up, and I had been really into them. I had loved Courtney's work in the past, I loved I Wrestled with Bear once, and in general I was really fucking with Spirit Box. There was a lot of hype all day built around Spirit Box, and they also had like one of the 3 biggest stages, so throughout the day there was a lot of hype, and they were fairly early on in the day. I think they were at like 3 or 4 o'clock, and the shows went on until 10, so people still had a lot of energy, and there were people that were dying to see Spirit Box. Blue Ridge had a really fucking weird system that no one agreed with. It was called like the Golden Pass or whatever, and it was where there was like a huge barricade that covered the entire place, and those people got to stand inside the barricade whereas everyone else was out, and it left this massive void of space, because at the most there was maybe 300, 400 people that had it, and that's a stretch compared to the 30, 40,000 people that were there, and the 10 or 20,000 that were genuinely wanting to see Spirit Box. And so it was kind of stupid. No one was really liking it. It was interfering with bands the whole day. I'm not saying the system was necessarily bad, but it was bad in practice, if not intention. And I was hyped to see Spirit Box, so I was just standing fairly close to like the stage on the barricade area, and when Spirit Box came over, something came over that crowd, and everyone decided to say fuck it. So much so that it is all over the internet. If you ever look the crowd jumps like barrier 2021 Blue Ridge Rock Fest, I am in quite a few of those videos. You just have to look for me, and I'm in quite a few videos of Spirit Box's set, because I was dead center of the mosh pit, and I was involved in quite a bit of the moshing that happened. So if you see any videos from Spirit Box set, Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2021, or the crowd jumping, I am in those. I am immortalized for whatever reason. But basically, the crowd just said, let's go for it, and people started screaming, jump, jump, and there were a couple of people that kind of led the charge, and then thereafter, I just went for it. I jumped the barricade, and I was part of like the thousands of people that ended up just ending the golden thing, because they did not do it afterwards. If I remember right, they literally lifted the fences, and there was a whole big thing, because the people who genuinely paid money wanted compensation, because they didn't get what they paid for, because they didn't want to be crowded. They got a normal festival experience, but that was amazing. It was so much fun, and the barricade was pretty high, which leads me on to my next point. There's someone that got really fucking hurt. So I went to see Blue Ridge Rock Fest with my dad, because he's also a metalhead and a rock fan. He's like an old school metal fan, and so he was hyped. He wanted to see it, and he didn't end up jumping the barricade. He was helping people. He was on the other side of the barricade, and he was helping people over, and he witnessed something, and I saw something from a distance, and I'm not sure if there's any like record of this or video of this, but basically there was a girl that very much missed her jump. The barricade, it was pretty high. The fence line was pretty damn high, and unfortunately, there were these kind of sharp spikes that held the fences together on both sides, and you're probably knowing where this is going. Basically, a girl was tossed over by someone else, and she completely just flunked the landing, and evidently the momentum just was not working in her favor, and she came down ass first on this just huge protruding metal spike, and she was bleeding all over the place. She had to leave. I just remember like she was being in a lot of pain, and my dad had said like she had screamed and that there were people worried about her. I don't exactly know what happened thereafter, but she took a really bad injury, and I'm not surprised if others did, because it wasn't the safest thing to do whatsoever. Like, if you're good at vaulting, if you're good at jumping, it's fine. Like, I was able to catapult over pretty easily, but I know that there was probably some people who maybe fucked themselves up by either falling, scuffing, because it was just a dirt ground pretty much where the stage was, so you could definitely scuff your knees, scuff your head wherever like you fell, scuff your hands, but there was a ton of like metal spikes that were just lining the whole place, and when you got over on the other side, there was a very small area of error that you could have if you fell on it, so that wasn't any fun. But as for Blue Ridge, the stories don't end there. I saw someone get carried out and put into a fucking ambulance during I Prevail set near the night. It was down a hill, and I don't know what happened to the dude to need to be taken out that way, but someone fucked him up in a mosh pit. That is all I know, and it was so bad that he got taken away in an ambulance, and that's pretty rare because people sustain a lot of injuries in mosh pits. I've sustained injuries in mosh pits. It just comes with the territory. I did a whole thing about crowd killing the other day, but he literally got taken away in a fucking ambulance, and I saw the sirens and thing going away, and because it was so dark, it was so omnipotent, and I just feel bad. I know it's like the last thing on your mind, but I'd be very embarrassed, like, just having all that attention on me. But, you know, it was a badge of honor. I'm not entirely sure what happened because I wasn't really moshing, because I wasn't in the mosh pit during I Prevail set, because this was on day 2, and anyone who's watched this channel for an extended period of time will know what this has been building towards. I got crowd killed like a motherfucker during Asking Alexandria set on day 2 of Blue Ridge Rock Fest. Permanent damage in both of my elbows. I don't even know if they'll crack on command, but like, let's see. There we go. That's what they do. They kind of just do that all the time now. If I just like barely push on them, I got crowd killed, and I wasn't involved in the mosh pit. I was just adjacent. I was pretty tired, and so I was just vibing. I moshed in like a couple of other bands that happened earlier in the day, so I was just chilling, and I was on like pit duty. I was helping people in and out, just make sure people are okay, having an exit, and there was just a big motherfucker behind me that was like 6'7", 340 pounds that just decided to put both hands on my back and just launch me through the mosh pit. Needless to say, wasn't very fun, wasn't very thrilled with that. I ended up coming down on both of my wrists, cracked both of my wrists, stoved both of my elbows. I'm pretty sure I got knocked out for like a couple of seconds because when I came up, I was amazingly disoriented. I don't know if it was just because of the pain, which I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but I don't know if it was just the shock or the pain or what, but it was right dead center of a breakdown, and I just came down hard. And I came up, there was like a couple of people surrounding me. My shoe fell off. One person was like helping put my shoe on. I had someone like put their hands on my shoulders and be like, "Are you okay? Are you good?" And I literally like, I was lucky I had someone with me to help lead me back through, because the mosh pit was very, very deep into the stage. It was the same stage that Spirit Box played, so there was just a lot of open room, and there was just so much noise and chaos, and I was dizzy. Like, I was so dizzy. I'd never felt so disoriented and out of it. And I've gotten my shit rocked plenty of times in a mosh pit. I've been hit, I've been punched, I've been kicked, I've had pretty much everything. I've had crowd surfers kick me upside the head. I had never felt anything even remotely close to how disorienting it felt after I got my shit rocked and just fell on the ground in the middle of a mosh pit right before a metalcore breakdown. So that was fun. When I saw Born of Osiris for the second time, something interesting happened, and this is just more of a all-encompassing thing. I saw Traders, Upon a Burning Body, and I forget who else, and Born of Osiris, of course. But that was a dope show. It was like a local band, I think, that played first. But they basically overbooked, and this is because of the people managing it. They knowingly overbooked. Not to mention, they did not have AC running. Their fans had broke, their AC had broke. And this was the dead of summer in a small packed venue with absolutely no air conditioning, no windows, no doors. And it was a heavy metalcore show with a ton of moshing. And you gotta understand, a 500 cap venue was pushed to about 800. Everyone was shoulder to shoulder. There was no place to sit. There was no place to lay. There was nothing. You literally were standing shoulder to shoulder. And like I said, this is just more of like an all-encompassing experience. I have one other story from that concert, but it was blistering. I ended up leaving like a song or two before Born of Osiris ended, because I had gotten really into Upon a Burning Body and Traders, and I'd already seen Born of Osiris, so I knew what their set was going to end like. But the heat stroke that you could probably have gotten in that room, and I think I probably did get a little bit, was wild, because I'm already extremely hot-blooded. I've had multiple people in my life say that I feel like a heater. I just radiate heat. And so I get overheated already, and that place was just burning up. It was a sauna. It was probably like 102 degrees in there, and that's not even counting all the movement that people were doing and moshing. By the end of that night, everyone was dead. There was really not much moshing. It made me sad for Born of Osiris because they were like the biggest band there, but because people got so into the other bands and because of how hot it was, there were people leaving early, there were people having to like find any corner to sit down in. It was so crazy. There were so many people getting drinks and alcohol and water just to try to cool themselves off, pouring water on themselves. I did that. But yeah, that was bad. But the other story from that was during Traitors. So Traitors is a very heavy, like hardcore metalcore band, beatdown sort of music, and that was probably my favorite set of the night, if not Upon a Burning Body. And something happened. The frontman said, "I want to see you moshing. If you get your nose broken or if you start bleeding, you get a free shirt." And I'm pretty sure that he meant this as a joke. I don't know if he necessarily meant to mean this. I feel like that's just one of those hype the crowd up moments, but, you know, hyperbole. Someone took it seriously, and they literally got their nose fucking busted open intentionally in the mosh pit and went up to the stage in between. Actually, I think it was the end of the set, and tapped on the stage and said, "Look, I got my nose broken." And you know what? He got a free fucking shirt. So good to him. Good to that king. That actually happened. I don't know if the band was intending to follow through, if that was like the intention, but it was just really funny. The first concerts I ever went to, I got to see one of my favorite bands, Breaking Benjamin. I've seen them 3 times. One of the bands that got me into metal music and rock music in the 2000s, was really hyped, and this is just a fun little thing. I got lucky enough to have Ben literally come down the place where I was sitting and just fist bump me. I don't even think he fist bumped anyone else on the row I was sitting in. I think he could just tell how into it I was and how I'd literally just been like screaming and singing every single song. And those are just some of the ones that come to my mind. I'm sure I could think of some others, but what are your favorite concert experiences or things you've witnessed? You can let me know down in the comment section below, or even crazy things that you've seen maybe like online. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.